I still have a lot of work that needs to be done.
The Saw franchise is now back in the hands of James Wan, and recently he spoke to Screen Rant about what he plans on doing with this alleged reboot. We may also have some exciting casting news to talk about in today's video too. Now let's get into a pretty big Saw 11 update. Hey everybody, I'm Killjoy Jake, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. If you're excited for Saw 11 just like me, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to this page for more updates in the future. Also, the best way to support the page is by either becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter. Check it out now to get an extra weekly video and some other spooky perks. Thank you all for your support. Now let's get into the video. As many Saw fans are likely aware, this is a very messy situation. After the release of the highly praised and profitable Saw X in 2023, many of us wanted to see that prequel story continued. The fact that Cecilia Peterson is still alive and kicking is a major problem. Now, that initial Saw X sequel has unfortunately fallen through after producers Mark Berg and Oren Coles couldn't come to an agreement on where to take the franchise next. It's a bummer because the script from Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton was being described as angry and similar to Saw 6, just like the previous installment. Saw 6 is like my favorite sequel. I love it. Saw X captured that energy and maybe even did it better. Now that Blumhouse has a stake in the franchise's rights, however, James Wan is taking control of his franchise once again. And if you're like, wait a minute, James Wan is in Blumhouse, what's going on with that? James Wan's company Atomic Monster and Blumhouse, which is obviously Jason Blum's company, have kind of like merged together into this one gigantic horror company. It sounds like they're planning on doing a reboot. So what does that mean for the future of Saw? Well, this whole thing's a tough situation. I mean, obviously it's awesome that James Wan has control of the franchise once again. He started it all the way back in 2004 with Lee Winnell, but at the same time, the Saw franchise just had a big surprise hit with its 10th entry. We want more of that. Not every franchise hits gold with its 10th installment. Most franchises don't even make it that far to begin with. I mean, Marcus Dunstan even confirmed in a recent interview that we were finally going to see the snapping turtle penis trap. I made that up. That's not true whatsoever. But now I know some of you sickos want to see that. Talking to Screen Rant, James Wan says of the new project, it's a bit early to talk about it, but needless to say, it's one that I am very excited about, just because I really haven't had much to do with the franchise since the very early days. I guess it's challenging and exciting because I get to come back to the movie that started my career, the career for myself and Lee Winnell. I'm not taking this very lightly at all, and I definitely want to find a way for the next movie to be respectful of what fans love about the franchise, whilst finding a new audience for it. It's a 20-year-old franchise, and I do think finding a fresh start to some degree is important while still staying true to the world that we have created. Now, once again, I know this is probably something that Saw fans don't want to hear. The prospect of getting another Saw reboot like how we kind of just did in the 9th installment, Spiral from the Book of Saw, a movie that many Saw fans weren't super hot on. I kind of liked it though. I know I'm in the minority there. It's not the best Saw film though, that's for sure. I mean, I even spoke to some fans at this year's SawCon and they just really did not like Spiral. Saw X was the sequel that SawCon fans really liked much more. Let me know down in the comments, by the way, if you're going to SawCon next year. I'd love to meet up with some more people. Now, the good news about all of this, however, is that there's a rumor going around that Tobin Bell is reportedly already in talks to come back for whatever this thing is going to be. For me personally, that already makes it a better film than Spiral. According to third-party source viewer Anon, they say, "You want a Saw scoop? It's very early days, but I've heard they're aiming for Tobin Bell to continue playing Jigsaw in the Blumhouse Atomic Monster Saw follow-up. It is not intended to be a remake or full reset." Now, just based on this company's past and bringing back older franchises, it sounds like they might do something similar to Halloween 2018, where they put a new schism in the timeline, branching off from the original film, but kind of telling their own story. This might be a hot take, but the producers of Saw have said since Saw 3 killing off John Kramer, that was a huge mistake. You could undo that by doing something like this. I think that would totally work. If I was running the show, I would definitely rather see the prequel story wrap up, maybe do a whole trilogy where Cecilia Peterson is this overarching villain, and then Jigsaw's kind of like the good guy. That would be awesome. I would wrap that up first and then maybe do something like this. but I don't mind this direction. I don't know, maybe that's a hot take, but I'm so down for a little schism, kind of rewriting history a little bit. We could essentially make a whole new Saw 2 where it's John Kramer passing the torch from himself Jigsaw to Amanda Young, to Mark Hoffman, maybe even another accomplice that they want to throw in there. But the big point to all of this is that Tobin Bell is a very old man. We love him to death, and he was amazing in Saw X. That might have been his best performance as Jigsaw across the entire franchise so far. Realistically though, he's an old guy, and I don't know how many more Saw films he has in him. I think ultimately if this franchise wants to continue, it's gotta kind of pass it on to the accomplices, like Amanda and Mark. They could totally run the show, man. I mean, obviously Tobin Bell was one of the best parts of Saw X, but so was Shawnee Smith. So was that absolutely hilarious post-credits scene with Costas Mandalore.
I call that epic bad luck.
But there is another point to be made with all of this. I trust in James Wan as long as he's directing this. He's made banger horror hits one after the other, like Insidious, The Conjuring, and some underrated entries like Malignant and Dead Silence. The movies he's produced, however, that's a little bit of a different story. His Conjuring universe kind of went off the rails after he stopped directing, and the same can be said about the infantile Megan series, only after its first sequel. I'm really rooting for Conjuring 4 and Soulmate, however, maybe those movies are better? Fingers crossed, man. If there's any way to get the Saw fans back on board from shifting direction from something that was such a big highlight in the franchise like Saw X, but kind of now doing something different again, the way you get fans back on board is you have Leigh Whannell write this thing and James Wan direct. Period. Full stop. The only other thing I'd be okay with is if you did a little reversal there. Have Leigh Whannell direct and James Wan write. This would totally work in my opinion because Leigh Whannell has a ton of killer directing credits to his name now after tackling the position with his directorial debut, Insidious Chapter 3, which is of course a part of another successful horror universe that he co-created with James Wan. He's then gone on to direct the brilliant sci-fi thriller Upgrade and the technological reimagining of The Invisible Man. Don't worry about Wolfman from earlier this year. What Wolfman movie? I don't know what you're talking about. Never heard of her. Now, James Wan really only has story by credits to his name, but he is one of the many writers credited for Conjuring 2, which I think many Conjuring fans would argue that's the best one. If this is like a new version of Saw 2 branching off from just the original film, ignoring the rest of the sequels, that's kind of the best energy to bring to this one. Your Conjuring 2 energy to a new Saw 2, essentially. I think this reversal would have horror fans going nuts, losing their minds. Assuming that Tobin Bell is actually back, I think all that Saw 11 would need to win people over again is having the original creatives step back into those roles. I know that fans are bummed out that the original Saw 11 isn't going to happen, but I'm telling you, if this gets announced, people will be back on board. Well, and let's not forget this, give the fans what they've been asking for years, the snapping turtle penis trap. Blumhouse, hire me as a writer on this thing. I got some ideas. What do you guys think about Saw 11, however? Are you excited for this one? Do you want to see a reboot, or are you just still upset that they're not doing the direct sequel to Saw X? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching. Please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.